Hello everybody, hope you're well. This video is all about this new system that I've just fitted to this bike. What you get with this, you get a screen, front facing camera, tyre pressure sensors, rear facing camera, and it's CarPlay. And it also records both cameras at the same time. The screen's big enough to almost use it as a rear view mirror. And as well as installing this, show how it goes together, we've also got one to give away. So keep watching. Not a bad day for a bike ride, but it's very windy. Again, it's causing me problems on my microphone, so I hope you can hear this okay. In between the wind and the rattling motor gutsy. The box it was delivered in. I've been looking at this was all neatly packed in here. There's the actual big screen with the cables on. Looks like they can only go one way. Nice big mounting bracket there. That looks like the Allen key and the support for putting the valve sensors on. That's the handlebar sensor. I do like the idea of having that, so you're not having to use the touch screen. That'll be the power supply, fused and regulated, and it'll be positive, negative to the battery and a switch. So when your ignition comes on, you'll put a power through this, which will switch the unit on. Colour coordinated ends, and they all look like they can only go one way. Ball joint mounting. That's a camera, a nice long cable on it. That must be the front camera with a smaller cable on it. What's that say? Is that GPS? Yes. It's a GPS unit. Well, it comes with a memory card and a card reader. There's part of the mount. That'll be a screwdriver to put your SD card in. And there to go on your valves on your wheels for the tyre pressure sensor. And another cable there, that's colour coordinated. Well, they seem to have covered everything there. That's for you undo those screws there and the card goes in there. Decent sized screen though, isn't it? And this is what I'm going to attempt to fit it to. Should be okay. It's quite a big screen though. I think it'll fit in there okay. Let's see how we get on. If you've never fitted anything like this to a motorcycle in the past, don't be put off with it. It's relatively straightforward. The main thing is running the cables and getting all the cables out of the way and deciding where you're going to put key things like this and the cameras. I'm hoping that's going to sit in there somehow. And I just need to decide where I'm going to put the back camera, because on this bike I actually going to change this back mudguard and put a tail tardy on there, so it will be fitted on temporary until the tail tardy arrives, and then I'll refit it on there. But there should be plenty of places on the front to put the front camera, and these cameras are nice and small as well. So the first thing is to find out how we run the battery cables to the battery. Well, that looks easy enough. So the battery is literally here, so I might have to take this side casing off, put the positive and negative on, and then find a live feed somewhere. And what we mean with a live feed is the yellow wire on that particular unit is the switch. So it has power to it, low voltage taken all the time just to keep it up to date with its memory and everything. Then when you switch the bike on, that triggers that 12 volt system to switch the full thing on and start the cameras recording automatically, which is a good, because you don't want to be riding along and forget to put your cameras on. This automatically starts your cameras straight away, but it does need that feed, so we need to find a live wire that only live when you switch the ignition on. And on many modern bikes it's relatively easy because the lights come on as soon as you switch the ignition on. So if you can't find a spare lead, some of them have sockets on for USBs and things. I don't know what this one has. You could always use a feed to a light, because as you turn the ignition on, the lights come on automatically. So looks like it's been well thought through. As I say, positive, negative to the batteries, and then we need to find the trigger switch. And then that's the main power lead that plugs into the rest of the wiring harness. Being careful not to short out the battery. You don't have to take the screws right out because it's got a tapered fit. That's good. Let's make sure that's nice and tight. Now to find the switching lead. Now this looks to be a multi-connector that goes under here to the backlight and to the indicators. So when I switch the ignition on, if I just test this to find the voltage, that goes to earth or negative. Nothing on that one. Nothing on that one. There we are. That yellow one there is live. So if I switch the ignition off, it's now gone off. So I know that that yellow line there is alive. So I can cut into this. It will be fused as well, but there is a fuse in the circuit, and use that as my switching line. So I'm going to cut this connector off here, and I'm going to cut this here, and I'm going to fasten all those 3 wires together, both ends of that and that one in, and I'm going to solder it because there's nothing better than a solder joint. And I'll put some heat shrink on it, and I'll also put some harness tape on as well. I'll always remember to put the heat shrink on first, so once you've soldered it you can't get it on. So I've literally twisted those wires together, all 3 of them, and then we'll solder the joint. A lot better than using crimp connectors, or you can use crimp connectors, or you can use those inline connectors. I think it's Scotch connectors, but this is much better. In a past life I used to be a TV engineer, so I've done lots of soldering, and you learn very early on to put something under where you're soldering. Because if you're in a customer's house working on a TV, in those days you did, and you drop solder on the carpet, you ask for a cup of tea while you snip the solder out the melted carpet. So you soon learn. So to do this, I'll try to do it so you can see. You tin the end of the soldering iron. This is flux solder, and you just literally put the solder on one side of what you're soldering and the iron on the other, and we used to call it sweating. It sweats together and puts a coating of solder around the wire to join them together, which makes a really good connection. A lot better than using those clips. But if you want to use those clips, many people do and they get away with it, but this is a far better. There we go, a nice shiny solder joint. Solder all the way around. Stronger than the wire, that. Just slide the heatsink over, that you remember to put on, and then I just use the soldering iron carefully, bit by bit, just to shrink the heat shrink to do its job. This is the loom tape. It's like a material. I use this for doing wiring harnesses on classic motorbikes, but I've used it on all sorts. Land Rovers, cars. And it looks better than that horrible plastic stuff that goes all sticky and starts to fall off. Plug the connector back together. Is that the right way around? And we should still have our light. And there it is. And there's no warning lights on the dash, and none of the fuses have blown. So far so good. And that's the hard bit of the job done, really. The rest of it's just running the cables and deciding where you're going to put stuff. That's interesting. So this here, I was trying to tighten it, it wouldn't tighten up, but in the box there's a little spanner, and that fits in there. So the idea of that is, once you've tightened it with this, you can't just undo it to steal it. You need the spanner to undo it. So I thought it was a really clever idea. Now I don't want to fit this on the handlebars, I want to fit it here. So what I'm planning to do is to take the handlebar bracket off and screw this through this screen here to locate it in the right place. Just hope it doesn't wobble too much with that screen, but it can sit on top of there if I get the location right. What's the worst that could happen? After a lot of measuring and various bits of masking tape, I think I've got the location right. Thankfully there's that many adjustments on this and this. This is all loose, I need to tighten it up. We should be okay. If not, you'll see me fitting a new screen. Well, I don't think that looks too bad, does it? These are the original screws that was in the clamp. And I think that lines up quite nicely, just where I wanted it. Just got to tighten everything up now, run the cables and put the cameras on. Now I've got that in the right position. I've actually moved it slightly further back, which I think is good. Going to fit the GPS, and the GPS, it's got a sticky pad on the back. I'll just fit on there, I think. Nice and easy out the way. And that fastens to one of these cables. These cables are individual, so they only fasten to what they need to fasten to, so you can't get them wrong. It's like a brass connector on that. So we'll lose that cable under there and we'll stick that in there. And then we just got the other cables to fasten on. Cables for both the cameras. Fasten on this, and these have got O-rings in as well, and they're screwed tight to keep them watertight. They're actually, I think they might be metal or strong plastic anyhow. Front and back cameras. Tells you it's a front camera, it's a shorter cable, and the connector on here also says front camera. Again, waterproof connectors. As these spin in here, you can fasten the bracket any way around. I'm thinking of putting it here. And then I'll just spin the camera around to make sure the picture's the right way up. And this is going to be a temporary fix because the mudguard and all this coming off for a tail tardy. So as a temporary fix, I think I'm going to actually stick it on here. I can run the cables under the seat nice and easy and under the tank. But as I say, that will be a temporary fix. Could actually put it there. Just easier to lose the cables at this point. Then when all this mudguard and this is gone and I put the tail tardy on, this will probably fit on the side on an indicator or something. But we'll have a look when that comes. But as a temporary fix, yeah, I think it's going to be on there. I might even stick it on with the sticky pad for now. There we are, on with a little sticky pad. Temporary measure. I've run that cable from the back camera. Here's the power cables. I think I'll loop these together and get them out the way with that power unit, and then I'll put some loom tape around these two cables and get them under the tank out the way, and then we're nearly there. Remember to take the plate off here and put your memory card in that's supplied, and then screw it back on, because I forgot. You literally screw those tyre sensors on and then press on the screen to lock them into the screen. You do the front one first and then you do the back one. There's a little spanner to tighten them up so they don't come off. Well, there we have it, all fitted. Tidied all the cables up. Cable management's obviously key with this. There's quite a few here. They're out the way in the fairing. And there's the screen, it sits nice there. Put the handlebar controls on. Let's see if it works. There's a bit in the sun there. Powering up. It's linked directly to my phone because I did that earlier on. Certainly bright enough. Doesn't look that bright on this, but it is a very sunny day. It's connecting to my phone automatically. It has got a screen cover on there. That's certainly bright enough, isn't it? And then you can go to the cameras. There's the front camera. And then you've got all the other settings on there as well. Tyre pressures, front and back. Probably need a bit more in the front. You can set it to your music settings, your GPS and your speed. Just it on here as well. That's actually recording there. It's automatically put the time and date on and the coordinates, and it would have your speed on as well. So if we have it on that screen and we press the button, we can go to the rear camera. There's the rear camera. It's got all the settings on as well. Let's take it for a spin. As I say, it's a really bright day. I think you can see it quite well on there though.
So there you have the main screen, and you can touch on that or use the handlebar. Tyre pressure's on there, and of course you get all the function you normally would get on CarPlay. All the videos are recorded on the memory card that's supplied with it, that's underneath. The quality of that screen's pretty good, and I like the way you can swap over from the front camera to the back camera with the controls on the handlebars. And that back camera is brilliant for a reverse mirror. Hopefully you can hear me down here. I've had hell of a trouble with the microphones today because of the wind. I've got sunglasses on and it's a very bright day, and that's perfectly alright to see. I don't know what it'll look like on the camera. Back to the home screen. Tyre pressure's on there, and when you go into the memory you can set your minimum tyre pressure. So, you know, when I set off, I think my front tyre was about 26 psi, but it's a really warm day and as I'm riding it's gone up to 27. So you can change those, that will give you an indication if your tyre pressure is running low. You can play this through your Bluetooth to your helmet, and obviously your GPS for your navigation, and the navigation will play through the helmet as well.
Quality of the video is very good. This is the front facing camera. Stores all the videos in the memory. There's the rear view camera. I've obviously got that just set above the rear light, as you saw when I installed it. But that as a screen when you're riding along is that good, and it's good enough as a rear view camera to let you know if there's anything behind it, like a rear view mirror. I mean, I'm showing it like this because I want to show the quality of this screen, because that's what you actually see. You couldn't see it very well with the sunlight, but now we're in the shed, it's a lot easier to see. But it's as bright as that when you're watching it as you're riding the bike. So the quality of that is excellent. And of course you can take the card out the bottom and download the information and use it however you wish.
I finally found somewhere out the wind. Well, hopefully it's out the wind. So if you want to win one of these, it's the full kit. What you get is the screen, the front and back cameras, and the tyre sensors and all the wiring. Comes in a box. Everything you need in the box is there. You don't really need any tools. It's just about running the cables, as you've seen in the video. And it comes with this on the handlebar control as well. And this you can have a fit on the grip. I've got quite big hands, and these bar ends with that on there are still okay. But it does come with adapters, so you can fit them on your handlebar as well if you wanted. It's fair to say that this isn't an expensive system, but what it does give you is everything you could possibly need in one unit at a reasonable cost. Inexpensive. You'd pay more for just this unit with some products. And it's pretty decent quality as well. As you've seen in the fit, it went together nice and easy, and it works very well. I was surprised there was no instruction book in the box, and I've checked the giveaway one and there's none in that one either. But saying that, as you've seen in this video, and as I've been using it and setting it up, it does work well. So it's the usual process. You need to be a subscriber, you need to be in the UK, and in the comments of this video you need to leave the words "I want one," and then in a future video we'll announce a number of product giveaway winners, and you'll see a clip of the winners comment, and then we'll communicate through my email. If anybody contacts you in any other way, it's purely a scam. That just leaves me to say thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Check the description for any offers and all the information.